As if the stars whispered her name before she came to earth, Mary was born on a full moon night. The kind of night the elders say only welcomes spirits and rare children. When her mother Grace heard her for the first time, she gasped and looked into her bright, shining eyes. "Chukwamela," she cried. "This one is truly Mary, beauty from God himself." Her father, Daniel, a powerful and respected farmer in the village of Hillview, danced outside the hut. The drums rolled, goats bleated, chickens flew. He slaughtered 2 fat rams that night, not because it was tradition, but because he was overwhelmed with joy. He called the baby a blessing that would make kings bow and men beg. And truly, as Mary grew, she began to attract attentions like flies to ripe mangoes. Her beauty was not normal. Her skin glowed like morning dew on cassava leaves. Her eyes sparkled like river water catching the sun. Her waist swayed like a calabash full of palm wine. Even as a small girl, women whispered, "This one will break hearts." By the time Mary turned 18, men from different villages came with yam tubas and palm wine to seek her hand in marriage. She rejected them all. First was John, a handsome palm wine tapper with a good heart. She said, "His hands are too rough. I can't imagine those hands touching me." Then came Peter, the village prince, who offered her a life of royalty. She laughed and said, "That one, his head is too big. My children will look like spoons." And then Michael, a wealthy cocoa farmer who was torn away because he sweats too much and owes out a very unpleasant smell. Even his nose sweats. "How can I kiss that?" she said, walking away. Her father, Daniel, who would simply nod with pride and say, "Let them go. My daughter deserves the best. If they are not perfect, they cannot have her." But her mother, Grace, always warned her, "My daughter, beauty fades. Pride will not cook soup in your marriage. A man's heart is more important than his true size." Mary would hiss and walk away. "Mama, you married Papa because you were lucky. I don't want luck. I want perfection." The villagers started talking. "She's full of herself. Let her be. Time will humble her. Even the gods will grow tired of waiting. One day, she will meet her match." But Mary didn't care. She walked like the road was hers and smiled only when men begged. She kept stunning men down until she turned 30, and some things started to change. The mirror began to speak truths her pride could not cover. Her skin lost its glow. Her smile lost its shine. Her confidence depths became measured. She just stopped coming. Even young boys now greeted her with, "Good afternoon, Auntie Mary." Women who once envied her now gossiped. "She thought she was finer than all of us. Look at her now, lonely and fading." At the village streams, girls whispered behind her, "Even that her big earrings can't cover her sadness." Mary became restless and fell into depression. Her mother's voice echoed in her ears. She started praying, fasting, and visiting prayer houses. Anyone that came for her now, she would welcome with full body. In the spirit world, far beyond the reach of sunlight, a restless soul named David roamed. He had died violently at age 35, stabbed by jealous friends in the city of River City. His head was cut off and hidden near the riverbank. Because he was the only son, his soul never rested. He had promised his mother grandchildren. He had promised his father a daughter-in-law. But life cheated him. In the land of the dead, he begged the elders, "Let me return. I named to fulfill my promise." But there was a problem. His head was gone, and no spirit walks the earth without a head. So with desperate determination, he borrowed one. A fine, smooth head from a wandering spirit with no family, and he returned to River City first, where he lived a quiet, mysterious life as a building engineer he was in his former life. But when he heard of Mary, the beautiful village maiden now desperate for love, his spirit stirred. She with mine. We are both broken, her pride, my death. Together, we can complete what life denied us. When David walked into Oak Village, no one could guess he was not of this world. He came as a building engineer, tall, reserved, and strangely refined. His voice was deep but soft. His eyes seemed to carry stories from 1,000 lifetimes. But most of all, he had a calm confidence that silenced a room. That day, he was supervising a construction site for a well-demanded new compound. When Mary passed by with a basket of garden eggs, their eyes locked. The world paused. The warped cast hammering stopped. Even the wind held its breath. She looked away first, shyly. He watched her until she turned the corner. Something inside him sparked. "This is the one," he whispered to himself. That same evening, as fate arranged it, he met her again in the market square. They greeted, talked, laughed. It was like they had known each other in another life. Within 2 weeks, they were like husband and wife already. Always together, always whispering, always smiling. And then he proposed. She didn't blink. She didn't ask. She simply said yes. No questions about his background, no visit to his people, no investigation. Her parents, they were too relieved to care. "Let her marry. Let our shame end," her father Daniel said. Her mother looked at David once and sighed. "There is something cold about him," she said. For who am I to stop fate? The traditional marriage was fast. David returned to Port City and hired actors, men and women he paid to pretend to be his people. They arrived in flashy clothes with fake smiles and empty blessings. The villagers were confused. So this is how Mary agreed to marry a stranger. Did she eat love potion? How did she go from, "I want a perfect man," to marrying someone she barely knows? But the wedding still held. Loud music, bright wrappers, goat's meat pepper soups, gang of panwai rolling on the ground. The bride smiled throughout, but the groom, he never danced, he never sang. He smiled only when she looked his way. After their wedding, they moved into a rented flat in Green Road, Port City. At first, everything seemed normal, until things began to change. Mary bought a full-length mirror to decorate the bedroom. When he saw it, David stood frozen. His eyes darkened. "Please, can we not have mirrors in this house?" he asked, quietly but firmly. She laughed. "Why, are you scared of your own beauty?" But he didn't laugh. He simply turned and walked away. That night, she found the mirror cracked in two, as though something had slammed into it. David said it must have fallen, but the mirror was nailed to the wall. She discarded it. Days later, she tried again, a small makeup mirror for her dressing table. He came home, stared at it like it was a ticking bomb, and whispered, "Please, Ma, just get rid of it." Out of love or confusion, she obeyed. Every evening, once the sky turned orange, David locked every window and doors. He wouldn't even step into the compound to check the generator. If they ran out of water after 6 p.m., he would say, "Let's manage till morning." He always turned off all lights before walking past windows. Once she begged him to walk her to the shop across the street after sunset, he refused. "Why are you scared of the dark?" she asked. He answered, "I am not scared of the dark. I am scared of what might not reflect in it." Another day, she caught him staring at the ground as the sun fell on their veranda. There was a shadow beside him, but the shadow had no head. When she blinked, it looked normal again. She thought it was her eyes. She said nothing. Again, David never followed her to the market. Even on Sunday mornings, he refused to go to church, claiming headaches, leg pains, or unfinished projects. "Why do you hide so much?" she asked one day. His answer chilled her. "Not everyone who walks around is meant to be seen by all." The neighbors began to talk. "Mary's husband is too quiet. Does he even walk? I never see him leave the house. Have you ever heard him shout or even cough?" One night, while lying beside him, Mary turned gently to kiss his cheek, but his head wasn't there. Her lips touched nothing. She sat up sharply, her eyes widened. She looked again. He was lying there with his head and all peaceful. She blinked rapidly. "I am losing my mind," she whispered. Despite the strange habits, the broken mirrors, and David's refusal to step out after dark, their life on the surface seemed peaceful. Mary and David had 3 beautiful children, 2 girls, Grace Jr. and Anna, and a boy, Samuel. They had their father's calm nature and their mother's striking beauty. To outsiders, they were a perfect family. David provided, Mary nurtured, the children flourished. But inside Mary's heart, something began to itch like an unanswered question. "I have never been to my husband's village. I don't know where he's truly from." In the beginning, she excused it. Maybe he's private. Maybe he's protecting them. Maybe he's just different. But as the children grew and began to ask, "Mommy, don't we have cousins from Daddy's side? Why don't we visit Grandpa or Grandma?" her discomfort turned into torment. To make matters worse, the neighbors began to gossip. Can you imagine? 3 children, and she doesn't know where the man is from. Not even one relative has visited in 7 years. He came from nowhere, and now she's stuck with him. One day at the market, an old woman selling yam murmured loudly, "She's too fine to have been foolish, but pride can make beauty go blind." Mary's cheek poned with shame. That night she confronted David. "Dave, I need to go to your village. I need to know where you come from. Our children need to meet your people. We are a family, not a mystery." He was quiet, too quiet. His eyes grew dark, his voice low. "Why now, Ma? Why disturb what's not working? My people are not the visiting type." But she didn't back down. She kept pressing him for weeks, then months. "Let me know your hometown." After months of pressure, David finally said yes. "Yes, Ma. We will go to my village." But the moment he said it, his back turned slowly, and he cried bitterly. Not loud tears, but silent, bitter weeping, the kind that grips the chest and shakes the soul. Mary was still seated on the bed staring at him. "Dave, why are you crying?" He wiped his face quickly. No, it's just that I am happy," he said with his faint smile. "You will finally meet my people." But his eyes, they told a different story. I soaked in fear. That night, sleep refused to come, and when it finally did, it came like a thief, violent and confusing. Mary found herself in a burning village. The huts were aflame, the trees were weeping blood. Headless spirits walked in a circle, chanting her name slowly. At the center of the fire, she saw her husband, his head detached, floating above his body like a balloon. He pointed at her with shaking hands and whispered, "Don't follow me there. I warned you. Don't follow me." She woke up drenched in sweat, her chest tight, her heartbeat racing. But when she turned, he was asleep beside her, breathing calmly, head intact. She tried to shake the dream off. She had to. They were to travel that morning. They parked early. The children were excited, singing in the back seat. They had dressed in matching Ankara outfits, their bags filled with wrappers, yam flour, and gifts for their new family. As they drove through the windy bush path and misty valleys, Mary's mind burst. Will they like me? Will they be as kind as he is? But just as they were about to turn into the village road, David raised his hand. "Driver, please stop here." The car pulled over. Mary frowned. "What is it, my love?" David stepped out of the car slowly. He came to her side and said, "I want to buy palm wine and bushmeat for my father. There is a small village bar just around the corner." She looked confused. "We can all go there together." No, Ma. Just let me go alone. It's not far. 2 minutes only." She glanced at the time. The sun was already tilting. "But we are almost home. Let's just get there." He held her hand. "Please. I want to do this the right way. It's tradition. Let me buy a keg of palm wine and bushmeat for my father. Driver, please take them to Nebo's compound. You will see the black gate with a broken fence. That is my father's house." He slipped a bundle of cash into the driver's hand and whispered something. The driver nodded. Mary's heart pounded. Something didn't sit right. She grabbed his arm. He gave her a long look. "Whatever happens, just know I truly love you." Then he smiled. The kind of smile people give before they vanish. And then he walked away. As they arrived at the black gate with the broken fence, the compound felt quiet and strange. The driver honked twice, and after a short wait, a young girl around 12 years old slowly opened the gate. She looked at the car curiously as it drove inside. An old man sat outside on a wooden bench enjoying the evening breeze. When he saw the unfamiliar vehicle, he quickly stood up, looking confused. "Who are you, and who are you looking for?" he asked cautiously. Mary got out of the car with her children close beside her. She was nervous, but tried to stay calm. "Good evening, Papa. My name is Mary. These are my children, Grace, Jr., Anna, and my little son, Samuel. My husband, David Nebo, dropped off not far from here. He stopped to buy palm wine and bushmeat for his father." The old man stepped back in shock, his eyes wide with fear and confusion. His voice shook as he called out loudly, "Rose! Rose! Come out quickly!" David's mother ran out quickly, looking worried. "What happened? Why are you shouting?" "Ask them again," the old man said, pointing at Mary and her children. "Ask them who they are." Mary repeated herself, mentioned David's name clearly again. Seeing their shocked faces, she quickly took out a photo of David from her bag. "Mama, this is him. My husband. He said this is his father's house. We have been married for 8 years. He left the car just a few minutes ago. Is there a problem?" When Rose saw the photo, she screamed loudly and fell to the ground crying. Her cries were full of both joy and sadness. "Oh, my son, David! You finally kept your promise, even from the grave." Mary felt dizzy and confused. "What do you mean, from the grave?" David's father gently led everyone to sit under a mango tree and explained slowly. "My daughter, the man you married is our son, David. He died many years ago. He was killed in Port City by people he trusted. They cut off his head and left his body near the river. He died before he could marry or have children. We buried him right here, behind this compound." Mary couldn't believe what she was hearing. She fainted many times, waking up each time crying bitterly. When she was strong enough, they took her to the simple grave covered with flowers. She knelt at the grave, crying deeply, and blaming herself for being proud and rejecting good men before. Her cries echoed throughout the village. Soon everyone in her village, Hillview, heard her story and learned important lessons about humility and pride. Mary's life changed forever. From this painful experience, she learned humility and kindness, carrying with her the lesson that pride can lead to great sadness and regrets.